How's it going, guys? Welcome to the first episode of the Gcast. And well, this is just gonna be a one-on-one talking about what's going on around the world, and if there's some stuff that needs to be shared, some stuff that
Nice if someone would talk about it a little more. If it would be nice that
there was more awareness about certain issues out there. So that's basically what you can expect from this podcast, and there's gonna be a lot more of the what day-to-day society needs to stop ignoring as a whole and start acknowledging. And apart from just socially required to talk about issues, there's going to be a lot of the regular talk as well, like stuff that gets us all interested, stuff that, you know, hypes us up about day-to-day life and about society in general. So we're going to kick things off with something very catchy and viral as of now, and personally very inquisitive to all those combat sport enthusiasts out there, such as I am myself. So, the McGregor Mayweather fight now. This is going to be one of the most legendary fights out there in my lifetime, ever since I was born. And, well, there's never been a fight that has gotten the millennials, go to say, so hyped up about something. Now, there is another way to look at this, and this is how I'm going to pitch it to you guys. Look at it this way. From back in the day, boxing used to be this big thing, and everyone, like our parents or their parents or anyone their age, that was their thing to look up to, like their thing to relate to, and everything to do with boxing was like epic because that was the combat sport to be at. If you were a boxer, you were the badass, you were the person that people would be afraid of. People would stay away from you in a way, but then also envy what you had. And that was the feeling that most people could not get even if they wanted to. So that was something that was a lot of hype generated around. So boxing was more of that back in the day. Now compare that to today, and that is exactly somewhat what MMA is for us. For the people who are the new generation, go to say, not even the people that were from the 90s or something, the people who are living in their prime right now, the teenagers, the young adults, for us, UFC is our boxing. UFC is something that we look up to as combat sports in general, and UFC has put up examples that yes, it is real combat sports. Now, it's not sugar coated in any way, it's no BS, it's not scripted like the WWE, or it's not hated upon by a lot of random people because of all these skeptical rules and all that shit. It is organized, it sticks by the weight classes, they have fixed rules, fixed agendas, drug policies, everything. They're certified by the US fighting associations. I think USADA is now taking over all these drug tests and everything for the UFC. And there's been a lot of hype around everything to do with the UFC and the kind of attention that it has gathered. And Dana White did an incredible job by pitching this entire concept, bringing it to mainstream audiences. And well, the entire concept of bringing up this topic is to get to the bottom line of the fact that yes, you are going to have one of this old school versus new school tidal wave of support. If you go to see, people who have been following boxing for years are going to be like, Floyd is untouchable because 49-0 doesn't just happen, and it is acceptable. He is the world's best defensive boxer. If you look at it, if you just go onto YouTube and look at any one of his fights, you're gonna clearly see how good at shot dodging he is. I mean, in a totality of all of his fights, I think he's been hit six times, 6 to 7 times. Proper contact, 6 to 7 times. That's it. And for someone who's won 49 fights in his entire career, that is impressive. But then again, when you look at Conor McGregor, he is someone who took the world by storm. Just got in there, did his own thing from his own style, his own concept. He calls himself the master of movement. And if you go to look at him, his entire fight style is based off that. It's very unorthodox. It's very blended together with a lot of various styles. And well, nevertheless, all we can say at this point in time right now is that August 26th is going to be a day that we are going to remember for a long, long time, because it's going to be one of the days that either we are going to be able to say that boxing needs to step aside, there is a new badass sport in town, or we are all forever going to be facing the whole boxing can never be replaced thing. These are the two things that's going to basically go down. Well, let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this and who you would be rooting for. Conor McGregor or Floyd Mayweather? Are you team boxing or are you team MMA? And keep in mind that these guys are fighting in a boxing match. They are going to be wearing 10-ounce gloves, cliche boxing gloves. And I believe Conor McGregor has to be wearing shoes as well to take out the stipulation of the whole he'll kick his head off agenda, which he will in a real fight, but he agreed for a boxing match, so there are certain bylaws that you need to follow, and I think Conor completely understands that and he's gonna beat him anyway. So let's see. Let me know your all opinions below. And moving on, there is this new, well, we can't say new because China's always been that way with us, and by us I'm referring to India because I am Indian. And the borders, well, first of all, let me just get this out of the equation that I'm not for borders in the first place. I'm someone who supports a globalist ideology, and I believe that if you are willing to be someone as a human being, why limit yourself to boundaries? If you are someone who thinks that yeah, helping others is a good thing to do, or that I don't believe that anyone in this world should suffer or be hungry or go through illnesses, that is a very good deed that is within you. But why are you limiting yourself to boundaries of people? If you want to help humanity as a whole. And as long as these borders separate us, it is never ever going to be a globalist ideology. And I don't know why people nowadays frown on the concept of being a globalist. I can openly admit to the fact that I'm a globalist. And I've been performing as a DJ and a music producer for a long time now. Yes, I'm still 20 years old, but I've got enough experience under my belly right now to go on my own way and to do some things that I have envisioned to do. And I'm going to pursue that. And I am a globalist. Even though I'm Indian, even though my family has been serving in the military for a long time, I am a globalist. I believe in a globalist ideology above a, an ideology of patriotism bound to a nation, bound to boundaries. We as humans stand together, and I just don't fail to understand. I fail to understand completely as to why why this was instigated in the first place. Well, back in the day, I don't know if the whole concept of land off from the others and building up huge walls, making your kingdom stronger than the others instead of making the world around you a better place was not there. Maybe because the entire knowledge and understanding of the world was insignificant back in the day. But if you look at it now, there is a lot that needs to be done, and there's a lot that needs attention. And well, not enough is being done about that. But speaking of boundary related messes that is going on in our country right now is the standoff with China at Doklam. And this is one of those things that is, again, it just seems to happen way too often. It's not the first time China is stepping over their lines and claiming land to be theirs, which is technically not theirs, which was written off years ago as a part of another country, and you can't just barge in and claim something to be yours when it's not. And this has been something that's been going on for a long time. The army has been engaging with China in multiple fronts. In Sikkim, my dad was posted there personally, so I've personally gone there and spoken to soldiers who was in the front, and they keep telling you these stories of how Chinese soldiers on the other side they don't want to be there as well. Even they understand the whole point of, if you're living 10 inches away, not fine, 10 inches is a little too close, 10 yards away from another person for over 6 months in one area, even though you guys are technically supposed to be defending different borders, you tend to relate to one another. You tend to talk, you tend to communicate. And these guys, the soldiers on the Indian side, the soldiers on the Chinese side, they were almost friends. Whereas the borders, for them, it was insignificant. They were just walking over and walking back. But the world does not view it like that. For them, this line distributes two major nuclear powers who should be feared. If they go to war, the war's going to go to World War III and all of that. Yes, it will. It makes sense anywhere. It is a scientific fact and a completely proven theory that if two nuclear powers go to war anywhere in the world, it's going to be World War III. And mutually assured destruction has set everything at bay. Everyone knows that no one wants to end up dead. You're not going to be the only country who's going to be fast enough to launch a nuclear weapon. And this is somewhat what takes the edge off a lot of things. And when it comes back to China being disproportionately sending in troops just to stand on land that they're planning on reaching into. So this is a non-violent way. So there are no weapons involved, but soldiers are being deployed and they just come in waves and resist any urges to move or step back, even though they've been warned multiple times. So India has declared a new urgency to purchase a lot of ammunition to be ready for a miniature war as to sources. And war is not imminent in such a scenario. And to be honest, to be straightforward, no need to build up hypes. War is not gonna break out. That's the last thing that's gonna happen. But certain tensions between countries in the 21st century is impractical, if you go to say it, because it'll all come back to me being a globalist and me saying that look at it from a bigger point of view. You're same race. You know, look at it from the benefit of our entire community. It's about humanity. It's not about me being Indian, you being Chinese, him being Mexican, American, Russian, whatever. It's humanity above all. And I don't think that as long as we, the people, don't start looking at stuff that way, I don't think it's gonna ever jot down to it. Well, that'll be all for this week. I'll see you next week for a fresh new episode of the Gcast. We'll talk about some new stuff, and I'm sorry if this was really boring and really annoying for some of you. You can just skip past it and stay tuned for a little bit more of the quickie series. I hope you guys are enjoying that little bit of a doodle thing that I do. It's been a thing that I've been doing since I was a kid, so I just thought I'll try incorporating that into a video series of some sort. So I named it Quickies. Little bit of a maybe a new mixtape that's coming out. Put together a little bit of a 2-minute clip for that and promote it. It's nothing actually. It's just like a little bit of a promotional video. So expect a little bit more of that in the Quickie series. And Gcast is a new series that I'm going to be starting up. And to be honest, this is more like a one-on-one for me because I've resorted to, well, I've always kept a lot of stuff inside of me because there was a part of time before all of this that, well, you know how every teenager goes through stuff. It makes sense, everyone does. But sometimes some things get to you a little bit more than they should, and I think mine stuck with me longer than they should have, and I just chose to keep everything bottled up. So I think this is a good way for me to interact one on one. There are no views, there are no subscribers, there are no nothing as of now, and that's not why I'm doing this. So even though this is gonna be on 0 views for a long time, that's not what this is about. I'm sharing, and I'd appreciate that if anyone can relate, if anyone shares the same views, or even if you don't share the same views, if you are willing to have a dialect, go ahead, post a comment, let your voices be known, let your opinions be known, because giving your opinion is very essential in today's world. And looking at the scenario that we are in, where the world's biggest superpower is being ruled, literally ruled, by a businessman who's is least interested in anyone. Nevertheless, I'll see you guys next week, and until then, stay G.